بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلق الله محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate and the most merciful, and peace be upon the prophets. As many of you know, we see what's happening to the people of Palestine. And a lot of the Muslim countries around the world, if you look at Syria, Iraq, Kashmir, the Uyghurs, you look to a lot of countries and you're looking at the Muslims being killed and being tortured, and injustices are happening to them. And when that happens, a question comes up to many people, which is, where is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why is not Allah interfering? How can Allah let this oppression happen to those people? So we're going to answer this question very simply in this video. This question ultimately is a aqeedah question. So we should first make sure that our aqeedah is firm before we move on. So when you ask, well, where is Allah? We should say, let me ask you this. Why are you asking this question? You're asking it because of the mercy of your hearts, seeing those children and those people, innocent people around the world, Muslims around the world, this is happening to them. So because of your mercy, you're asking, well, where is Allah? How can Allah not interfere? So let me remind you with one very important thing. Allah is the creator of everything, and He created those people. And He decreed, which is one of the pillars of Iman, He decreed that these people are going to live this life and are going to die this death. That's why I'm saying it's a doctrine question, it's a aqeedah question. When you see that mother holding her child for the last time, you need to remember that the Prophet told us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has more mercy in Him for us than the mother to the child. So you can imagine how much mercy there is in the mother to her child. Allah has more mercy to the people than this mother to the child. So that's the first point. And the response comes, but well, what's happening is just astonishing. So we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the norms of this world. He created what's halal and He created what's haram. He told us what's the halal and what's the haram. And He commanded us that we do the halal and forbade, and He made the haram prohibited. For example, He made it haram to do injustices. حرمت الظلم على نفسي. He said that I made oppression haram on me. I made oppression prohibited on me. فلا تظالموا. So do not oppress one another. For example, He also made haram hurting another human being. So the question comes, when there's oppression between people, do we blame Allah or do we blame the people? Who is the one that made the oppression? It's the people. We don't blame Allah. For example, another norm that Allah has set in this world is that fire burns. So when somebody puts their hand in the fire and it burns them, are we going to blame Allah or are we going to blame that person who went against the norm that Allah has set? And Allah has decreed that the ummah will live in tests throughout their lives. And this test, لِيَمِيزَ اللَّهُ الْخَبِيثَ مِنَ الطَّيِّبِ, so that Allah can differentiate between what's khabith, what's bad, and what's tayyib, what's good. And also, Allah has tested the people to know how true their iman is. So the response comes that, so you're saying that when Allah tests me, I should get closer to Allah? The response, yes, absolutely. Because that's the norm that Allah has set. He already told us. He said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين. And He said, we will test you with fear and hunger and loss of people and loss of harvest, and give good tidings to the patient. So He already told us what to do. You need to be patient. That's the first step. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. So hold or get your help from sabr and salah, from being patient and prayer. And Allah has tested and gave this ibtila'at to many people, and people better than me and you. He gave these tests to prophets. Prophets were killed. He gave these tests to the best person in the world has ever seen, Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about, for example, Ma'rakat al-Ahzab, the battle of Ahzab. He is saying, when they came to you from above you, وَإِذْ جَاءُوكُم مِّن فَوْقِكُمْ وَمِنْ أَسْفَلَ مِنْكُمْ, and from beneath you, وَإِذْ زَاغَتِ الْأَبْصَارِ. And the eyes were open. They weren't able to know where to look. وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرِ. And the hearts became in the throats. This is more of an example of how much the pounding made it feel like they can't even breathe because of how much the heart was pounding. وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ. And doubts, like now you're doubtful of Allah. So this doubt that's coming to many people, this happened to the people in the battle of Ahzab. هُنَالِكَ ابْتُلِيَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَزُلْزِلُوا زِلْزَالًا شَدِيدًا. Then the believers were tested and were shaken with a mighty shake. And notice that the hypocrites say, well, Allah and His Messenger, مَا وَعَدَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا. Allah and His Messenger did not promise us nothing but delusion. Which is why this question, where is Allah, is asked by two kinds of people. The first is somebody who genuinely wants to learn, and these are the people that I'm talking to. And the second is an atheist or a hypocrite, who is just like those people during the Battle of Ahzab were saying, Allah and His Messenger promised us nothing but delusion. And Allah told the people that are being tested this much, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ. He said, do not become weak, do not become sad, you are the superior. So we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set the norm of ibtila'at, or of tests. So everybody's going to get tested. Everybody has got their fair share of being tested. And everybody will answer Allah, did they get closer because of that test, or did they move further from Allah because of that test? And Allah has tested a group of people and made the other group not tested to yuqim al-hujja alayhim, to make it clear to them in the Day of Judgment, what did you do to those people in need? So for example, we're seeing the people of Gaza, we're seeing the people in Syria, we're seeing the people of Kashmir, etc. We're seeing those people, this is happening to them, this oppression is happening to them. The question becomes, what have you done to help those people? So we go back to the original question, where is Allah? And let me ask you this, for the person asking this question, where is Allah? What do you want Allah to do? Do you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to just send an earthquake that's going to defeat the enemy? Is that what you want? Do you want Allah to just send some sort of miracle that's going to wipe them off of the face of the earth? If that's what you want, let me ask you this. You're going to wake up one day and, okay, so where's the enemy? No more enemy. Okay, great. Let's move on with our lives. Well, what have you done? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِن تَنْصُرُ اللَّهَ يَنْصُرْكُمْ. If you support Allah, Allah will support you. So the question becomes, what have you done to support Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And finally, to those people in Gaza and everywhere else that are losing their lives right and left, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just. And we believe that by His justice, these people will be rewarded in a much better way than you expect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a very high value to the shahada. These people are shuhada, and we ask Allah to accept them as shuhada. So we know that this person that has been burnt or that has been found under rubble, dead, they are now rewarded and they're happy. The question becomes, what do we do to stop this? The question becomes, why is this even happening in the first place? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to support the Muslims all over the world and to grant us shahada and to accept the dead as shuhada, to heal their wounds and to connect the ummah. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد.